Hello and welcome to BOI Weekly. I am Kayode Alayonde. Between last year and now, the Bank of Industry has introduced a number of industry-specific SME cluster funds. Just this week, the bank launched a new loan scheme, and it is the third out of the 34 cluster-specific industries they have recognized in the country. They called this one the BOI Fashion Fund. It comes after the first two, the 5 billion naira Cottage Agro Processing Fund, CAP, and the 1 billion naira Nolly Fund. The Fashion Fund is a 1 billion naira funding targeted mainly at women-owned businesses in the fashion sector. It's structured in such a way that a beneficiary can get as much as 30 million naira. BOI Weekly was there to cover the proceedings. We'll bring you all the details in a short while.
The agricultural sector due to limited processing and preservation capacity. This results in high food prices and food importation with its attendant effects on the nation's foreign reserves. To enable Nigerians optimize the benefits from the country's vast agricultural products such as cassava, oil palm, rice, tomatoes and others, the Bank of Industry has launched a 5 billion naira Cottage Agro Processing Fund, the CAP Fund. Customers can access the fund to establish plants to process our various agro-produce into food products or intermediate raw materials for industries at a single-digit interest rate of 9% per annum. For more information on the CAP Fund, please visit www.boinigeria.com/capfund. Bank of Industry, developing Nigeria's agro-processing industry through the CAP Fund.
Gathered in this room are some of the partners of the Bank of Industry, including veterans and newcomers in Nigeria's fashion industry. They're here to grace the launch of the bank's new initiative. After introducing two well-received cluster funding programs within the last few months, namely the Cottage Agro Processing Fund and the Nolly Fund, the Bank of Industry is proud to introduce yet another, the Fashion Fund.
This is the day the Lord has made.
It's a 1 billion naira funding targeted exclusively at women-owned businesses in the fashion industry. During the launch, MD CEO Bank of Industry Mr. Rasheed Olaoluwa talked about the bank's cluster-specific SME lending strategy.
At the Bank of Industry, we have resolved to strategically approach the issue of SME financing using the cluster approach, which has been successfully implemented in many fast-growing economies in the world. Just to give an example, India today has developed hundreds of SME clusters, where these clusters have been identified and, have been actively developed. And this is actually one of the success factors, for India's economic transformation. Now, what are clusters? Clusters can be characterized as being economic networks of strongly interdependent firms, knowledge-producing agents, such as universities, research institutes, engineering companies, bridging institutions, such as consultants, and customers, all linked to each other in a value-adding production chain. Clusters are usually comprised of either regionally concentrated businesses or businesses in the same production value chain, or clusters with similar products, or clusters of interdependent companies.
He also didn't mince words on the bank's own approach to the usually tricky issue of collateral.
For us, we see collateral as a second way out. The primary source of our repayment should be the cash flows generated by the business. So when we receive an application, the question we're trying to answer is, can this business generate sufficient cash flow to pay back the loan?
But what do the fashion designers themselves think of this initiative?
We would like to say a big thank you to the Bank of Industry for giving us the opportunity to be part of the program that you have lined up. There's still one thing that I keep saying. I'm a producer, and it will really please members of the association and probably a whole lot of other people who are in the industry if we can actually put the money together and have a production hub.
This is an opportunity to create wealth. It's an amazing opportunity, and the time is right, as Fumi says. We also need to work on the quality of the technical skills that we are going to build and need in the industry. That is one of the most important key factors. I was actually talking to her about it this morning when I met her. We need to have technical schools that train people on pattern grading, pattern cutting, that know what they are doing.
I think it's a fabulous, very encouraging incentive for us, initiative, because a lot of us fashion designers and accessories designers really have little or no help, so it stifles on the fact that we can't, produce as much as we can or sell as much as we can. But I mean, with this kind of initiative, at least we have the hope that we can increase production, so yeah, it's a very welcome one.
If I'm a beneficiary, if I'm able to get it, of course it's going to put me on my toes. It's going to make me, I'm going to work more harder to be able to to make sure I do not default.
Whether it's the money or the production hub, there is no doubt that the first tranche of 1 billion naira will go a long way in lubricating Nigeria's fashion industry.